Hello, everyone. So, yes, today we are making the rainbow summer rolls. So, this is a take on a traditional Vietnamese goi kun, or sometimes called salad rolls, and it uses rice paper. So, you get a really lovely, chewy texture. It's naturally gluten-free and can create some really beautiful rolls because it has that translucent quality you can see through. And it's really just a way to eat a lot of vegetables without even realizing it because you can pack all these beautiful rainbow vegetables in there, get all those nutrients, and then with a good dipping sauce, it's just, easy to really eat a bunch of them and get a lot of veggies. So that's what we're doing today. And with that, I'm going to switch my camera view over because we are going to start off with prepping some of our vegetables. So knife skills is a very important section of the program we spend a lot of time on so that our students feel really comfortable handling the knife with confidence so they can do whatever they hope to do after graduation successfully. So I'm going to start off by just prepping a few of the vegetables that are going to go into our rolls today. And the first one's going to be an Asian julienne of the carrot. This is a really lovely cut because we can get these nice, long, thin, angled slices, little juliennes that are perfect for fitting in the rolls. So we teach students about the proper chef grip, what we call a pinch grip or choking up on the blade, and then protecting these fingers on our guide hand by curling them under. So I find a nice long, about 2 to 3 inch angle bias cut to start things off with. And then I'm basically just going to make a series of long, thin bias cuts down the length of my carrot. And these are going to become my Asian julienne. Okay? And this won't go to waste. I'll use it for something else. Or we encourage all students to have a stock bag in the freezer for scraps like this, where you can make your own veggie stock. So I'll then stack a few of these and then break these down into our nice, long, thin Asian julienne. So that is what we are working with here. And carrots are absolutely lovely. They're high in beta carotene, which we can convert into vitamin A. And they're also very rich in fiber. So that's going to be good for many things, but for gut health, that's going to be good for blood sugar regulation, and also helping kind of detox. The body can use the fiber to get rid of excess estrogen, as one example, in the body. So we have a bunch of our nice Asian julienne. I left the skin on. It's going to be all hidden in the rolls anyway, and there's a lot of good nutrients on the skin surface of the carrots. So that's our prep on the carrots. And next up, we have some cucumber. This is going to be really nice and hydrating. I might start with just half, but also mimicking a nice long piece here so we can layer them all in. Cucumber is quite watery, so what I might do, because I don't want excess liquid in the rolls, is actually scoop out a little bit of this watery center that is mostly seeds, just so we don't have quite as much moisture that might seep out and kind of over saturate our rolls. Okay. But really hydrating, really nice crunch. And so it's relatively thin. I think I'm just going to line it up in the sweet spot of my blade and just kind of chop down for some similar nice long slices that'll go in the rolls. Some of these I can even break down a little bit further if I want them just kind of a little thinner here to match the size of the carrot julienne a little bit. Also left the peel on since I'm working with an organic cucumber today. Okay, lovely. Break a few of these down just a little bit more. Nice, long, thin slices. Okay, beautiful. And the last item we're going to prep is a bell pepper. There's many ways to cut a bell pepper. Bell peppers are great because it's a way to test if your knife is sharp, because a dull knife will struggle to cut into the skin of a pepper. So it's a good way to see, is my knife sharp? Does it need to be sharpened? And because we are kind of going for these more angled cuts, the Asian julienne, I'm not going to worry about squaring off the pepper. I'm going to kind of do a method that uses the most of the pepper. And so, like I said, many ways to approach a pepper, but I like to actually put the top down. Since this one's kind of flat, it can be pretty stable. And then cut segments off of the pepper, kind of going around where the seeds are, which are right under here. And so I find one of these lines to be kind of in the center of the blade. And I'm actually going to kind of angle around on a first cut here and then rotate and do another one. I'm also kind of trimming some of the pith as I'm going here. And then this last one, I just kind of trim away here. So very little waste here, mostly the seeds. And I'm left with these nice pieces that now I can put skin side up because I'm testing my knife sharpness here. Got my nice claw, and again, slicing through for some nice long julienne cuts here. And I'll do one more segment just so we have enough to work with. And our students, start doing these slower, working on precision, making sure they're building the correct muscle memory of how to handle the knife. And then over time, we, encourage them to build up speed as they're feeling confident to, increase the efficiency in the kitchen. All right, so that's what we've got prepped. I've also got some beautiful purple cabbage already shredded, just another color with its unique set of phytonutrients available for us. And I also have some tofu in slices already, which is going to add a little protein source for us, but shrimp works very well as well. So those are all of our vegetables today. And then we're going to be using this lovely rice paper. This is one example. And this one actually has both rice flour, but also tapioca. And the ones with tapioca can be a little bit easier to work with, get a little bit more pliable. And so that is often what is used in the more traditional ones and a little bit easier to work with there. So this rice paper out of the package is, firm. It has this crisscross kind of pattern on it. And so when we're working with this, one of the big issues that people often have is that the rice paper gets too wet. It starts getting sticky, soggy, hard to work with. And so the key for working with this is that it really does not need to be in our water for very long. Okay. How the temperature of your water will impact how long you want it to be in there. So if you are using a particularly, I'm just going to switch to say hi for a moment. Hello. If you're using a particularly warm water, and you'll see different recommendations on this. Some things, and the package of these actually said warm water. And if you're using warm water, definitely don't want hot, hot. But warm water, it's mere seconds, 5 seconds, dipping in, taking out. And we'll see that we'll still be able to see this pattern after it's dipped, and it'll still feel hard. It's when it sits on the board, the time it takes us to add all the ingredients, it's going to soften to perfection just from kind of sitting and hydrating. I actually prefer more on the room temperature side of things. It gives you a little bit more flexibility where you don't have to worry too as much about oversaturating it. Um, but whatever temperature you're working with, you'll just kind of learn by doing it and experimenting how many seconds really works the best. And if you find that it's kind of hard to work with, overly sticky, the next time you can try a shorter soak. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm gonna, I think, zoom out here just so you can see the water set up just a little bit better. But I used a pie plate actually um, to keep my water in so it's, right next to my work area. And then I'm also going to take this damp towel and just kind of dampen my board because I think that will also help prevent sticking. And I'm gonna actually dip this in a little bit of the water here. I don't want this wet because that might lead it to oversaturate, but a little dampness I think will help avoid sticking. Okay, so let's go for it. I think I'm gonna kind of lay out and do, I think I can fit two here at once for efficiency, but I'm going to get this into my water and just rotate it around basically. The water's covering both sides. And then when you take it out, you want to let it drip. Drip, drip, drip. And I'll do the next one maybe a little so you can see a little bit better. But we can still see the pattern. It's a little bit pliable, but it feels like it's not really the right texture, but trust the process. It's going to be perfect. And it almost disappears into the board there. All right, and let's do one more. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Drip, 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 drip. All right, and lay it down. And this one I can already feel is softening nicely. Okay, so for our fillings, I really like doing a lettuce leaf first. It kind of helps hold everything else together, even protect the rice paper from maybe some of the pokier ingredients by kind of keeping it all in there. And so we got a lot of ingredients here. We don't want to overfill these. Again, that can increase the risk of them like splitting perhaps. Um, so I'm just going to put a little of my different ingredients here. And I'm kind of focusing on like the bottom third a little bit of the roll, so not quite in the center there. Got a little cabbage. Again, this takes practice, just kind of seeing how much filling and flying cabbage and our tofu, so our protein source there. Okay, so let's see. If I imagine this kind of rolled up, this seems I can even kind of roll it in the lettuce as the first thing here. That seems like a good size to work with. Okay. What I can do now for decorative purposes is put a couple mint leaves farther up, and that way they will actually kind of show up once the roll is all rolled. Often they'll put shrimp farther up like this too, and we'll see how that shows up. So again, this lettuce leaf is actually very helpful to kind of keep things contained. And I'm going to start by peeling up this bottom bit, and it's very soft and pliable now. Okay, I'm going to get you guys even closer here. Very soft and pliable. It's sticking a little bit, but I think we're going to be okay. So I'm going to start by pulling it over. Okay, so pull up the bottom and then tucking in. And this carrot, this is a dangerous carrot because it might poke. So I'm going to stick that back in. Fold in the two sides here. And we gotta be careful, there is some sticking. Okay, so the two sides are folded in. And now I'm just going to tightly, but not so tightly that, again, things might burst through and puncture. These mint leaves are nicely positioned here. I'm just gonna roll away from me. And then we can see how the mint leaves are showing on the outside of the roll. Okay, that's a good size. Maybe could have fit a little bit more, but that's looking pretty good. I'm going to put that there. We'll do our other one. Maybe I'll stick another pepper. It needs a little bit more red, I think. And lift this up. So yeah, I think I could have gone for even a shorter soak. So that's good information. I will take that into account for um, the next one. And you can, really play with all sorts of different fillings here. Nice and tightly rolled. You can do fruits. You can do all sorts of different herbs. Really whatever you like, different proteins. Okay. And there we have our nice little rolls. So Um, because they are kind of sticky, some people will coat them in a little bit of oil if you are trying to plate them next to each other because they have the potential to stick together. But you can also kind of use lettuce leaves in your plating to prevent them from sticking like to the plates. They really are best served kind of soon after being made, although you can keep them hydrated by kind of covering them with a little bit of a damp um, paper towel for, maybe like an hour or two. But otherwise, this rice paper can get kind of dried out. And then another thing we can do for presentation is cut these puppies open. Um, let's try bias cut. Cut these puppies open because that's the view that's really so pretty, right? So for presentation, if we do that, and that makes it really kind of nice, bite-sized, if this is like a little appetizer that people are enjoying and just coming and um, grabbing one and dipping, then we could, fill this up with the rolls and really beautiful, right? So colorful. So these are delicious. We have a recipe for a really great peanut sauce on the Bauman website, on the blog. Um, so a lot to experiment with. And speaking of experiments, because we got some time, we're going to try a couple other unique things that you can do with the rice paper. So the first one, and I'm going to get my rice paper ready here. And like I said, we're going to do an even shorter soak because I learned. But I will bring this up so you can see better. So this time, let's just do 1, 2, 3, and remove. Drip, 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 drip. Might put just a little more water on the board here though. Okie doke. I'll just do one at a time this time, I think. So the other thing I like to do with rice paper is make dumplings. Okay, dumplings. Everyone loves dumplings. There's multiple ways to do it. I've done steamed dumplings that, like last week, I did steamed shrimp dumplings. Okay, you can make a bunch, put them in a steamer basket, steam them, and absolutely delicious with the dipping sauce. Today I'm going to show a pan-fried dumpling. And if I had, they do sell smaller rice paper rounds where I could really make more bite-sized dumplings. These are a little bit more like just dumpling pocket packets, I guess, where I might, because they're large, I think I had maybe two of them with some other vegetables as a meal. And this one here, I have made a filling with tofu, cabbage, carrot, mushroom, ginger, garlic, soy sauce. So like a tofu dumpling type filling here. And for this one, I'm actually, oh, this is much better. So it's not nearly as sticky. It's much easier to lift up. It feels maybe slightly underhydrated, but I know it's going to properly hydrate when it's all said and done. So this one I'm just going to fold up in a little package here. Okay, not too tight because I don't want the rice paper to kind of strain when it's cooking. And then, because the rice paper is a little delicate, I'm actually going to double wrap it. And that creates more of a chewy kind of dumpling-like texture. So I'm just going to give this guy a moment to kind of hydrate and just plop this one. I kind of flipped it and then plop this one right in the middle here. I know it's so translucent, it's like hard to see. And the paper's not quite pliable enough. I might dab on just a little bit more moisture just to help it along. I'm also heating up my cast iron pan on the side here. All right. And again, we can fold up our little package here, our beautiful little present. Lovely. Okay. Still, I want it just a little bit more hydrated because the last step before it's going to go on the stovetop is, as a bonus, sometimes I like to put some sesame seeds on the outside. I've got two colors. And this is really just because it's pretty. Okay. See if I can pick up some of the excess here. And then we'll see if our pan is ready. So yeah, it's softened nicely. And I want a nice hot pan. It's not going to cook for a long, long time. And we're not going to see like a ton of browning. It's really about there we will see some transformation in the texture, some crisping, and it's just kind of increasing the chewiness and heating, heating everything up because I didn't want to use hot filling with the rice paper. So everything needs to be heated. So I got a pretty nice high temp so that it is going to get that chewy factor I'm looking for. I can press, a little bit, make sure it's making full contact here. And then we'll be able to follow up with that when we're ready to flip. Okay. So while that is doing its cooking thing, I got one more trick up my sleeve, which is in those situations when maybe you just want one big old wrap for lunch and you don't want to mess with all these. It's not an appetizer, it's just lunch, okay? And we want to make one giant wrap. So to do that, I'm going to actually use multiple of these at once, layered. So I've got one down. I'm going to soak a second one. And I'm going to overlap it slightly in the center here. So there's about this much overlapped. And then one more. And I love doing this when I have leftover sushi rice, actually, because then I can make kind of like a sushi burrito vibe. So it's kind of like what's that called? I'm blanking on the name. The three overlapping circles. I don't know what that's called. Um, great. So that's all set there. I'm just gonna check on my.
You meant the Venn diagram?
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. All right. So it's not really browning per se. It's really more so um, some crisping, some kind of puffing, but there is some crisp texture here. Okay, so I did flip it over. All right, so we got our Venn diagram. I don't have sushi rice, but I do have quinoa, so I'm gonna kind of pretend here. And so I'll actually put a piece of seaweed down in the center here, and then you can really make a complete meal in in this one roll. Okay? It can fit quite a bit. So I've got my quinoa base, and I can, similarly do some lettuce here. I can fit more in with a big one. A cucumber, the carrot, and I've got cilantro, which is so full of antioxidants. It helps also pull heavy metals out of the body for like that detoxing effect. So cilantro is absolutely lovely. I've left some of those more tender stems on there. My purple cabbage can really pile it up. My tofu, and I also love doing avocado, but I don't have that prepped right now. And we got some more mint, so why not? So it's it's hefty, but that's okay. We got room for it. I'm even gonna do more carrot. Go crazy. All right. So I'm gonna roll the bottom up first, kind of like what we did with the mini ones. Rolling the bottom up first, kind of pulling in, tucking in, nice and tight here. And then just the same, we can go in on the side. And yeah, this is much easier to work with now that I shortened the soak time. It's not sticking as much, so that is great. So tuck, 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 and then hold it nice and tight as I roll away. And I probably could have fit even more. And now I've got a lunch-sized, nice wrap here. It's got the seaweed on the outside. So that's looking really good. I can cut it in half so that, it's really easy to just dip into that amazing peanut sauce and just enjoy that. So that is lovely. Um, and we actually do have some browning that did end up happening. I'll get you all a little bit closer on this one, and um, you can't hear that, but it is making a nice crisp sound here. If I wanted, I could also rotate it in the pan to hit these sides and kind of get that um, just like more kind of chewy, crispy texture on that. But this is a really fun, dinner as well, making the dumplings that way.
There was a question, what's the filling of the dumpling?
Yeah, so this I made with tofu, cabbage, mushroom, carrot, water chestnut, ginger, garlic, soy sauce, and sesame oil, toasted sesame oil. But whatever your favorite, dumpling filling is, could do a pork filling if that's your cup of tea. But these are beautiful, right? And just a way to get so many vegetables in. Um, really easy, nice and compact, just fit in your hand. So I love that. And rice paper is kind of having a moment. I think it's kind of trendy right now. I don't know if you're on social media and follow food people, people are doing everything with it now, right? So I've been seeing people do a lot of stuff in baking it or air frying it. Um, I've seen people making the croissants with it, spanakopita, baklava, basically anything kind of as a substitute for a pastry dough as a gluten-free option, as a lower carb, um, lower fat option potentially. Apple hand pies, I saw someone make with it. Again, just kind of making that pocket around the apple filling. So I definitely have more things that I want to experiment with and a lot of potential also with steaming it, like I mentioned, with the steamed dumplings. Um, Also on my list to try is rice paper bacon. I've heard that that is really good. You're obviously not getting, protein. It's not something you treat as a protein source, but you can get nice crispness. It kind of gets marinated and then baked and gets all crispy, apparently. Um, so there's always new things to experiment, which is honestly the most fun thing about cooking because it literally can never get boring because there's always a new ingredient to try, a new recipe to try, and just experimenting. So we definitely see our students get really excited about that process of experimenting and getting introduced to new ingredients, and we love that. So yeah, are there any other questions? I teach the first 6 weeks on repeat, and um, they're just some of the foundational information in that course is kind of the most impactful. Um, like just learning about taste and how to season food to taste and adjust, learning about flavors. So those kind of like core skills that really take you from a home cook to a chef, around taste, around knife skills, and just seeing those aha moments when students like are like, oh, this is how you hold the knife. Oh, this is so much easier, and building that confidence in those kind of foundational skills. For me as an instructor, it's very satisfying. So for me, that's fun. Um, but there's so much fun. It really depends what you're interested in. Some people are super jazzed about the baking course. I also teach courses in term two where we really dive into learning about the how to cook for different health needs for different diets, which is a main reason that a lot of people attend the program to go beyond just the culinary techniques and like, okay, how do I actually make food for people with these different needs? That's what separates you as a holistic chef versus someone that went to a traditional school. So those are really fun because we do a live cooking demo. We do meal plans and work with like mock clients and yeah, so but it's all fun and every week is something different and it's just like a delicious year. You'll eat the best, in this year that you've probably ever eaten.